Good morning, students. Let us begin with the next chapter, chapter 6, learning. We have learnt earlier that at the time of birth, every human baby is equipped with the capacity to make a limited number of responses. These responses, they are reflexes whenever an appropriate stimuli are present in the environment. As the child grows, he or she is capable of making different types of responses, such as identification of his or her parents, friends, relatives, or using a spoon whenever eating food, and learning how to identify alphabets, how to write, how to join the words to make sentences. He or she also observes others doing things in specific environmental conditions and imitates them. So, as the child grows, he or she observes many events or objects and even learns their distinct features. So objects are categorized into maybe fruits, animals, furnitures, so on and so forth. So this kind of learning, which is a psychological process, it goes on right from childhood or and continues till the old age. So learning is considered to be a key process in human behavior. How do we define learning? It is a relatively permanent change in behavior that occurs due to experience. Changes due to practice and experience, which are relatively permanent, are illustrative of learning. Let us now focus on the features of learning. The first feature states that learning involves some kind of experience. We experience any incident or event occurring in a particular sequence on a number of occasions. If an event happens, it should be followed by certain other events. For example, one learns that the bell rings and automatically it is the time for lunch or for food. Repeated experience of satisfaction after doing something in a specified manner leads to the formation of a habit. Sometimes a single experience can even lead to learning. Take the example of a small child who is trying to experiment holding a balloon in his hand and the balloon bursts. Such an experience will make the child to be very, very careful in handling the balloon in future. The second feature states that behavioral changes due to learning are relatively permanent. They must be distinguished from the behavioral changes that are neither permanent nor learned. For example, the changes which happen as a result of being worn out or tired, habituation, drugs, etc., they are not permanent changes. Suppose you are reading your textbook, or suppose you are learning how to drive a cycle or a scooty. After some time, you are likely to feel tired. You are likely to stop reading the book or stop driving the scooty. This is a behavioral change which is caused because of fatigue, and it is temporary. It is not considered to be learning. Learning also involves orienting influences. Now, for example, when there is a noise which is happening around you, you might get distracted. But if that noise continues for a certain period of time, you learn to make certain reflexes which are called orienting reflexes, which become weaker and weaker and become undetectable. This change, which has happened in you due to continuous exposure of events, is referred to as habituation. Learning also involves a sequence of psychological events. Learning is an inferred process and it is different from performance. So you can see this particular slide which explains the features of learning in a nutshell. The first, that learning involves some kind of experience. And if you are in the habit of, let us say, running every morning or taking care of your health, exercising, etc., can become your habit. This shows that learning involves a series of psychological events. And the last thing that is indicated here is that learning is an inferred process and it is different from that of performance. I've already discussed about habituation and orienting reflexes. In this particular slide, you can see this man. He is speaking despite so much of noise coming from the background of the moving vehicle. It could be even intensity of lights. So after a certain point of time, even the presence of an intense stimuli which is causing distraction, it will get weakened after repeated presentation of the stimulus that is eliciting the response. So again, we come to this particular definition of orienting reflexes and habituation. Habituation means a change which occurs due to continuous exposure to stimuli is called habituation. People who are residing in the areas where there is a constant noise in the surroundings get habituated to that, and at a certain point of time, the reflexes become weaker and weaker and eventually become undetectable. Now, learning and performance. Learning can be defined as a relatively permanent change in behavior or behavioral potential produced by experience. We have already done that. So, what is the difference between learning and performance? Learning is something which is inferred, whereas performance is something which is observable because there is a translation of the behavioral potential into actual behavior. So, while behavior is necessary to determine whether learning has taken place or not, its absence does not imply that learning has not taken place. Performance is a person's observed behavior or response or action. For example, your performance in the exams. From there, we make a lot of inference whether you are a good performer or you need to concentrate more in that particular subject, etc. So, from there, we can make an inference that how fast you are or how good you are in learning that particular subject. So, I'm sure with this particular presentation, you must be clear about the differences between learning and performance and learning and habituation. And you must be also clear about the concept as well as the features of learning. In the next class, I will take up the paradigms of learning. Thank you and have a good day.